What is happening, dirtbags? Episode 117 of the Midwest Angler Podcast is officially underway.
It is.
It's here.
And we're here. You're Scott Sturman. I'm Matt Deitch. Sneaking it in there
How
today.
did you know that? How did you know that?
Well, you got your ID sitting out here, so.
Oh, yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah. Carding me to make sure that, I'm old enough to be doing a podcast like this. Matt, let me ask you, does the name Ever Given mean anything to you?
Ever Given it.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Ever Given.
Explain a little bit more in depth. What do you mean by Ever Given?
It's a boat.
It's a boat?
It's a boat.
Ever Given.
You don't know what I'm talking?
Uh-uh.
Have you seen that boat that's stuck in the Suez Canal?
Oh, that's right. Ever Given. Yeah.
That's its name. Ever Given.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's kind of like, it's like the ultimate 2000 and, like, if 2020 was people at a boat ramp.
right.
It's like the ultimate, like, boat ramp, like, mic drop right there.
Well,
Everybody's like, oh, you see all those memes shared all over Facebook this time of year, like, it's coming, here it comes, and it has a person with their boat trailer backed in there sideways and stuff. It's kind of like the ultimate mic drop.
It's the 4th of July, that family that they get out and right at the boat ramp start unloading their vehicle, well, with noodles and floaties
Yep.
and whatever. Not when they were 5 vehicles out
No.
and had all the time in the world. We do this while we're at the ramp, busting out the floaties, and like the guy kind of gives everybody who's waiting in line that look like, hey, I know what I'm doing.
Right. You want some?
Yep.
And then he happens to mention that, yeah, this is the first time we pulled it out of the Grove all year. So,
and then, okay. So let's think here. Does he try backing it in, or does his wife try backing it in?
usually he's like, tells her to do it.
Yeah.
And she struggles a little bit.
And he yells.
Gets mad.
And he yells.
So then pretty soon it's like, fine, then you get it. But let me do this here. And
Yep.
then he really doesn't do much of a better job.
Yep.
So then she starts giving him hell about that.
And then they get the boat into the water. It gets off the trailer. And then they can't get the son of a gun started.
That's right.
And then the other people that are trying to come in and come out, then yeah, we've all been there. We have all been there.
I mean, it's one of those things. Though, the backing the trailer down doesn't annoy me or anything like that.
No, God, no.
I think anybody could agree. It's like, just get your stuff ready. Like, pull into the parking lot, get all your stuff ready that you need in your boat, get it all in there, like, that you can think of. I mean, there's always something that you're all of a sudden, it's like, oh, crap, I forgot this in the truck or something like that you got to run back and get. But basically, when you pull up to the ramp, all you should have to be doing is backing it in there, unhooking it, getting it in the water, pulling the trailer out, and then,
When, I mean, there are seasoned people that have pulled, trailers a lot of times that every once in a while can struggle,
Right.
And
you get on a different ramp sometimes. I mean, if you're used to, different people, like some people use their mirrors, some people turn around and look out the back window and kind of judge that. And,
there's
the hardest,
tight quarters sometimes.
Right. Sometimes it's like, and your ramp might be a little steeper, so then all of a sudden you kind of lose all your viewpoints. So
Then once you start struggling and you've got an audience on top of it,
that's the worst.
then you start getting into your head and you're saying cuss words and things are it's a snowball.
Yep.
It just starts snowballing. You had a little snowball like where I kind of screwed up a little bit, and then all of a sudden you got frickin' Frosty the Snowman, and you're pissed. You are pissed off right now.
Well, there's a lot of times where I'll just be like, if I'm by myself fishing and I see a couple people behind me that have like 2 people, like one in the boat, like it's like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. They're going to back
go
it up.
around.
I'm like, just go around. You guys go ahead. And they're like, you sure? It's like, you guys are going to be in and out in like 20, 30 seconds here.
Yep.
You got 2 people. It's a little bit easier for you. So just go with it.
It's kind of like when you're about to go to the checkout line. And
Right.
You've got a shopping cart full, and the person behind you just they just got one item. Hey, pal, just go around. Just go around. It's kind of like what I tell people at the buffet line when I get to the first pizza. Like, hey, pal, go around because this thing's going to be gone anyhow.
Yeah, right.
So
You're not
don't
getting
be
any.
sitting here waiting
If
for
you
it.
plan, that's why you go first. Everybody's like, well, we'll just take whatever's left over.
Yep. Yep. I'll leave you all some crumbs.
So the Ever Given, that's what, oh yeah.
That's what it's called. Have you, think back on all the times that you've been captaining a boat, Matt. Have you ever had a time when you've been out there that things got a little Western? Like,
Oh yeah, you always do.
What do you got one time in your mind where, I mean, things got a little more Western than Mullen, Nebraska, and I mean, maybe even got all the way through Nebraska and Western Wyoming, or not that Western?
Where you've kind of gotten in a situation, you're like, how did we get into this situation? Like, are you talking about like get on the windy side of the lake and all of a sudden you turn and you're just like, oh no,
yep,
this is not
miss
good.
A trailer, get a little bit too far in. Have you ever bumped? I've got a story. And I'm assuming Dan Teaslink might be listening to this. So there was a time when Oak Hill Outdoor, I think it was Oak Hill Outdoor, maybe it was Mao, or hell, I don't even know who was putting this thing on, but there was a boat poker run up at Okoboji.
Really?
And so me, I think Grady and Aubrey had to be along, but me and Kayla for sure, maybe Grady and Aubrey, Dan and Brooke, and maybe Addison, we went on this boat poker run. And we were going to the Okoboji store. And you know how at the Okoboji store they've got the docks on that actually are out on East Lake Okoboji next to the Mile Marine gas pump?
Yep.
Well, I've got my parents' boat. And their boat is a little bit nicer than my 16-foot tracker. Just a smidge. No big deal, but just a smidge. And I'm kind of getting in there, because we see a spot. And I'm coming in a little too warm, I think, and there's a little too much wind, and so I'm going to overshoot it, and so I kick it quick in reverse because I'm going to just bonsai this dock, and Brooke is up on the bow of the boat, and I pert near lose her up there.
Right.
Well, then I gave it a little bit too much heading backwards, and there's a condominium right there that's got a bunch of boats with the back ends all sticking out there, and we got a little too close to a boat prop.
Yeah.
And that guy probably never realized it, but he has a little bit of red, white, and blue paint on his boat prop. So then, at that point you realize, like, Scott, you screwed up. Like, you screwed up real bad. We've got a big gash in the side of the boat. I've got to go back and tell my parents about this. Like, it wasn't going to ruin my day, but it ruined my day, maybe the whole week. But that's probably the worst and after that, we did get in there. We did get into that spot. But that's probably the worst thing that ever happened. I've had it a couple times, like as I'm trying to get onto a trailer, I get a little sideways with the wind and, pert near get blown underneath of a dock. That can happen pretty easy.
Right.
But especially those high docks, and then you got a low boat. But that putting the gash in the side of my dad's boat, that was the worst.
I've never had anything like that. I would say,
show off.
No, not showing off. I'm just saying
showing off. That's all he's doing.
That, it just means I'm not trying to pull into any of those. That's what you're talking about is some tight quarters there, even on a calm, like non-windy day.
Normally, I'm pretty good at whipping it in the tight quarters.
You got to kind of maneuver it pretty good in there, but. All my boats have been pretty small boats. So, like, as far as, every once in a while you get those occasional loading it up and it's pretty windy and you're trying to get it, like, straight on the trailer. You're kind of hoping it doesn't bang against the dock. I've banged my trolling motor on the dock a couple times and you're always like, oh, crap, like, I've gotten caught on the other side of the lake before when it's gotten too windy. My brother Brant and I were up on Lake Brant in South Dakota the one time, and it was like, oh gosh, it's just like
too much.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell did we get ourselves into here? Going back across the lake, and it was when I first had that boat, the boat that you have now. So it was kind of like I was kind of still new to the whole driving the boat in rough waters and how to handle it and everything. So it was just like. You just kind of, you got that pucker factor until you finally get back to where it's calm enough to go a little bit faster. But it made it. It did.
Damn right.
I'm trying to think of some other crazy things like that if that had happened. I mean, nothing too wild and crazy. We were up on Waubay the one time, and we luckily got off the lake just as it got like terribly nasty, and then watching people trying to keep their boats out of the dock, out of the rocks and stuff. So, I mean, I think I've seen it plenty of times. Luckily, I haven't had anything like real bad as far as that size. The one we were up on, a funny story is we were up at Alexandria on vacation one time, and we went to a small little lake there, and we were at a little public landing, and we're standing on the dock. A couple of us are while we're unloading the boat, and the dock gave out.
Really?
And it just like boom right down into the water, and we were like the front end went down the water. We were like, oh crap! It's like, what did we do? You know, it's just like here half the dock is under the water now, and it's like, oops. Well, let's just load it up. Let's load the boat and go. So
we were at Arnold's Park one time at Okoboji, and there was a boat there along the dock. You know, somebody had obviously came in to, I don't know, go to the concert or, you know, go to the park or whatever they were doing. I still don't know. Never pursued it any farther. But they obviously must have forgotten to put their plug in their boat.
Ooh.
And it was tied up to the tied up to the dock. But when we got there, she is under.
Yeah. Oh man,
she was under. So yeah, that was a bad deal.
One of the last trips of the year last year, I might have talked about this too. I pulled like one of the biggest bonehead moves that it's like, what, after I got done with it, I was like, what were you like thinking? I actually put my plug in my live well drain port in the back of the boat. You know, they're right next to each other. You got your plug hole and then the drain for your live well. And I put it in there for some reason. I was like, why? I was like, I don't know why I did. I don't know if I was in a hurry to get out there on the lake and fish or what.
But your live well didn't fill up, did it? So, I mean, at least you had that going for you.
Well, I back it down in and put the boat in the water, and all of a sudden my bilge is going. I'm like, what the? You know, I'm sitting there for a second like, why is my bilge going? It's like, I didn't have, like, was there
fast? Yeah.
I was like, was there water in the bottom of the boat? Like, I'm like trying to figure all these scenarios, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's right. So then I just quick jumped out, obviously, and pulled the boat up and let it drain out, and then luckily there was nobody around. So it's like, you know, you're looking around like, I mean, it's like somebody needs to be here to be like, you idiot.
No,
so
I was just testing something out.
Yeah.
I was testing out to see if the specs on the right.
Yeah. So I still am like, what was I like? I just spaced out. So
yeah. Well, hey, it happens.
It does.
It happens, and it even happens to good experienced captains like the Ever Given Panamanian flagged. It said it was Panamanian flagged, but owned by the Japanese.
And what did they say? Like, that's what's causing like all kinds of like,
yeah, I guess, I mean,
issues with the economy again. As if we didn't
need a little bit more.
Like toilet paper is going nuts again because of that.
Kayla bought $60 worth yesterday. I told her, she said she was going to Target, and I said, you get stocked up because, no, I don't know. For some reason, the people that I live with, they tend to go through the toilet paper a little bit faster than normal.
Do you keep an extra roll like in your boat or like in your truck or anything like that?
Nope, I do not.
Neither do I. I mean, I know a lot of people do, and it's
Have you ever hung off the side?
I've never done that.
Nope. I have not.
Never had to do the old deuce out the boat. I think if it's that bad, I'm running into shore or something like that and hiding in the woods. And
I don't even think.
Most places you go have like a porta potty or some type of toilet or something that's somewhat close. So
if you were out on the lake all by yourself, you were the only one in your boat, would you beach it and go up into the sticks, or would you?
Probably. That's probably what I would do. I don't think I don't know, like if I could possibly, like, I think I'd be better off just jumping in and holding on the side of the boat and just going, like trying to hang off the side like that. I'd probably end up going in the water anyways. So
I just don't know how.
I don't know if the laws of physics would really like allow for that to happen.
I don't know that I would really like to all of a sudden be looking around and got these swimmers around.
Well, I know.
I think I would honestly put the trolling motor on slow and just hang on to the back and kind of get drugged behind. Let it go and just leave a trail.
Kind of like a manure spreader, huh?
I don't know. That's Just kind of spreading a little fertilizer. I don't know. You'd have to go in naked in order to do it.
Right.
I don't know.
Obviously.
I don't know that I would be all right with.
I would try the hang the over the side method, but I don't know how well I would.
So, I mean, if all of a sudden you find out that you're not the only one on the lake and somebody comes ripping around the bend and all of a sudden they see you, I feel like you've got a better chance of explaining yourself. Like if you're hanging off the side and like, hey, guys, I had Fiesta Brava last night, Montezuma's Revenge, like whatever. I feel like you could get away with that when all of a sudden they come up next to you, they think you're drowning, you're freaking butt naked laying around on the side of your boat. Like,
that's true.
Guys, it was freaking hot out. I don't know. So then there's that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. What's everybody else's take on
Yep.
that? What do you guys like? What do? You got like I mean, I know a lot of people might have like an old coffee can in their boat that they used to like pee in and dump it out the side.
I suppose even just a 5-gallon pail.
Right.
I mean, you could literally sit down
right
in your boat on a 5-gallon pail and do your business, and everyone would just think that you're sitting on a chair.
Right.
That might be your best bet.
Oh, it would be your best bet. So
you reusing that bucket?
That's the thing. That's what I'm thinking about. That might be one of those, like when you get back to the old ramp, it goes in the back of the truck, and when you get to a dumpster, it goes in the dumpster.
Yep. That was a good bucket. We lost a lot of good buckets out there. I mean,
power washing can take care of a lot, but it ain't going to power wash the memories of you sitting
That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Like, once you know what's been in there, like, right. You don't just reuse a bucket like that.
I'm not throwing all my fish in that bucket. I mean, I could have bleached it and desanitized it, and it's still like, that's still the poop bucket.
That's still the poop bucket. That is still the poop bucket. Let us know if you got a poop bucket. Yeah, we got my son Grady here today. We're gonna hold it, Grady. Hold it right there. Oh, dropped his phone on the ground. If that ain't a Grady deal. I was actually kind of talking to Grady a little bit ago, and I asked him, I said, hey, why don't you let us know what your goals for this year is? So we're going to have Grady on here. And
he gets his own walk-up music today.
Got his own walk-up music.
All right, Grady, welcome to the show again. It's been a while since we've had you on.
Yeah, it has been quite a while since I've been on here.
How many shows have you actually been on, Grady? Have you been on 2?
Yes, this is my second one.
Second one, all right. You're kind of behind the scenes guy. Usually you're over there playing some type of weird video game while we're over here talking. So
I know all the things that you guys have talked about for the past while. I got all the dirt bags and all the stuff like that in there.
All right, Grady. So, in the last couple of years, you've kind of come on as a pretty good fisherman. I'd say you could probably beat Matt, but I still don't think you got me. But anyways, we were kind of talking today, just me and you, didn't even have any plans of being on the podcast. But I just kind of asked you, Grady, what are a couple of your goals this year? So let us know, what are a couple of your goals this year?
One of my goals this year is to open up what I'm using for fishing. I've kind of stuck with the same things to catch bass or walleye. I want to open that up a little bit, maybe use some different lures or baits, just open that up a little bit. And then I want to catch, I've already got a 5-pound bass under my belt, but I want to catch another personal best bass and walleye, hopefully this summer.
What is your personal best walleye?
Probably one up in Canada, maybe. Yeah, nothing too big, I don't think.
You got a nice one at Spirit Lake last year, didn't you?
That was probably one of my best.
That one was like 20-some inches, wasn't it? I'm thinking so. You talk about opening up your arsenal for fishing and stuff like that. What are some of your favorites that you like to use right now, like throwing?
I fish off my grandma's dock, and I use a Pilkey. Best lure I've ever used in my life.
You have caught
Just
a lot
put a
of
little
fish
wax worm on that thing and catch things all day long. But one problem with that is we got a smallmouth bass that likes to eat. the little fish that I catch with it. So I've lost about 14 lures in the past this last summer.
Yeah, right. I'm sure some fish taking it. When your grandpa and grandma pulled that dock off there, it probably looked like a little bit of a Christmas tree, didn't it? All those lures hanging on there. That's what you're telling your dad, is that, oh, it was a big fish that took it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure the one day him and Aubrey were out on the dock, and I don't know, it was like, I don't know, during the weekend, my mom had brought him up there, and I think between him and Aubrey, I think they lost like 12 pilkies that day. So
it happens.
Yeah. One other thing is I got a story. So we're up at Okoboji, and we're using these little pilkies, and we just have a little wax room. They're just little things, and we catch a freshwater drum, and we have no idea what this is. And I call my dad, and he's like, at first I don't even think that you knew what it was. Or no, yeah, you knew what it was, but yeah.
Cut a nice drum off the dock, huh?
Yep, right off the dock.
That's always fun. They fight.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're using a pilky, so you're using panfish gear and hook into one of those things. And the tricky thing is you got all those dock pilings around there and stuff like that, and trying to keep it out of there. So do you think you hooked into a state record walleye when you hooked it at first?
Yeah, or a state record largemouth, one of the two.
Were you and Aubrey yelling back and forth? Like, was it pretty chaotic down there on the dock?
Yeah, and I wanted to show my dad what it was, and so I had to run in and grab my phone, but I couldn't find it, so I ended up going and grabbing a pail, filled it up with water, and we put it in there, and it just sat there bobbing up and down the entire time.
Oh, good fun stuff.
Yep. All right, Grady. Well, yeah. Thanks for being on your second episode of all time. Hope I only got to pay him food, because any more than that, he's gonna run me out.
Start paying for guest appearances.
Yep. Matt, I was looking before we did this show. We've officially got 32 days, and that is if you're listening to this on Monday when the episode comes out, 32 days until the Iowa Great Lakes has their walleye weekend. And it also looks like that's when a lot of Wisconsin opens up. Sure. Maybe up north there's a little bit something different. But Wisconsin actually closes like March, like the first weekend in March, and then it goes until May 1st that it's closed on a lot of their fishing. I think that they still do some catch and release, but that's just their harvest. And then Minnesota is officially 47 days away, and I think they open up 2 weeks after Iowa does with their fishing. And I saw a petition going around online looking for people to sign to open up bass fishing, during the spawn, pre-spawn, that there would be no closed season, that it would strictly be a catch and release deal. What do you personally think about that?
I'm not against catch and release season, all year long, or up until they want to have a, opener to where you can start keeping them if you wanted to keep them and stuff. But I'm fine with an all year round season going on. I fish South Dakota, I fish here in Iowa, and it doesn't seem to, have like a huge impact on like the fish population that we have. And I'd be all right with it.
I'm sitting here kind of wondering, how many people don't even realize that it closes. I've got a guy who I'm friends with on Facebook. He actually sells stainless steel to the company that I work for. I've got him on Facebook, and he lives up, I believe, on Prior Lake, okay. Up close to the cities there. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I could probably look today and tomorrow or whatever. If it's a nice day, like early in the year like this, I think they got a pontoon and him and his boys go out and just kind of cast around. I don't think that they're, they don't really care what they're catching. I'm sure that they have licenses, but I just truly don't even think that they realize that anything is closed. And, I mean, if they caught a northern, they catch a northern. They catch a bass, they catch a bass. I guess they have that, well, we weren't necessarily targeting them. I don't think they're really targeting anything. They're just targeting fish, fishing. Whatever. But I don't know. I got a feeling that happens a lot more than what people realize in a state that has, closed fishing like that. And then you turn around and you think about like us up there, on Spirit Lake when we're going after the smallmouth.
Catch a ton of walleyes.
We catch walleyes, I mean, we unhook them, we let them go, okay, fair enough. But if we opened that up, I mean, I get why a lot of the places do it, why the Iowa Great Lakes does it, why Minnesota does it, because it gets that buzz, it's fishing opener. People flood to the state, people flood to the Iowa Great Lakes. They spend money in the bait shops, it is what it is, I mean, it's opener. It's, me and my dad and my uncles and my cousins, we've gotten together and we go to the family cabin every single year for opener. We drink a whole bunch of beers and we, spend too much money at the strip clubs and, I mean, who knows, but I mean, that's what, that's, I guess what, like you said, tradition, it is what it is, it generates a lot of money, but I don't know. I mean, is it time? Is it time for something different? If it's not broke, don't fix it. What?
Right. I don't know. I understand protecting the fish, that they're vulnerable during the spawn and all that, but I think, in all reality, I think some of the neighboring states could thank Minnesota a little bit for having a closed season like that, just for the fact that a lot of people flock to those other states then to have the opportunity to catch walleyes or bass, so to say, and it helps out the local bait shops and, the local gas stations and hotels and everything like that. So,
well, we already know about how one state feels about it.
Well, yeah, right. But, I mean, I just, it'd be interesting to see if they would, even if they moved it up. It's such a hard, I can see where it's difficult in the state of Minnesota to know when to do it because, you got a state that's so north-south long. And,
right.
There's a lot of times, the last few years have been kind of an oddity where, the ice is off well before the opener is. I mean, I can remember a few years back where they were still people like almost ice fishing, if not ice fishing on the walleye opener up on the northern part of the state. But, down here in the southern part of the state, the water had been open for, a month almost. So
right. Well, and I mean, I guess that, if it would happen to get a smidge colder, I mean, there's still a lot of people ice fishing up north right now. I mean, if it looks like 75 on Monday, right here in the tri-state area, some higher temperatures, and then it's going to kind of dip down low again. If all of a sudden we wouldn't be having 70s and we'd be having 40s, I mean, northern Minnesota could really keep their ice for a long time yet.
Right.
I mean, it has taken a toll, whatever, but, you get a couple overnight freezing temperatures and things can change pretty fast. But, yeah, I definitely agree. When it takes you 7 hours to go from southern Minnesota to northern Minnesota, that's a big,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot changes just between here and Sioux City, and that's only an hour, So,
I mean, like I said, I guess I've just ever known the seasons, and it would be nice. I like the idea of the catch and release season on the bass thing. There's a lot of guys that go out there after Northern opens up, and they're throwing spinner baits, quote unquote, for Northerns, and basically targeting bass more. But I think that a catch and release season would be a good thing.
How many people that are targeting bass are actually keeping bass?
Not many.
I mean, is it 10%?
Maybe.
Is anybody that's actually targeting bass bass to keep bass?
Not usually.
I mean, they're out
for
walleye or
panfish
panfish
or walleye, and they catch those. So then that's what it.
They're planning on keeping fish and piss on it, throw a bass in there too.
Throw it in there. So I mean, and like we've said before many times in here, to each their own. So
when it's not terrible. It's not. I mean,
no,
it's actually not bad to weed
need to take some of those smaller ones out. So
yeah.
Yeah, so it's always such a hot topic, and it always gets, people get excited and, mad about it.
I don't know, 6,225 people have signed it for bass. And to think that there's that many people in the state of Minnesota that signed it for bass is really pretty incredible, because I believe if it's a walleye issue, I mean, you'd probably have 50 times more people signing it, if it's something that everyone's really getting behind. So I don't know, that would quickly become a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have a dog in this fight. I'm not going to Minnesota to target bass, and I haven't. I'm not going to.
I think that it'd be interesting, like, to see what their thoughts are about, like, if they would move the opener up, like, to, like, the first weekend of May, like it is here at the Iowa Great Lakes. And,
Yep.
Because they always talk about doing it to protect them during the spawn, and walleyes spawn not too much after ice out.
Right.
So, like, I mean, they're going to be spawned out in no time, so, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not a biologist, and I'm not an expert on all that stuff, so I try not to. I feel what they do is the right things, and because they know how it all affects it, so, yeah.
Now, I am a biologist. But through my training and with my licenses, I said that I wouldn't talk about it on this podcast. I can on other podcasts, but not this one. So
you're just a biologist for Lyon County, Iowa.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm an expert. Well, I'm an expert here, but I would say I got a pretty good handle on basically all the upper Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
That was, a lot of people don't realize that was going to be your original podcast, was, the Midwest biologist.
The backyard biologist.
Oh, the backyard
biologist. And I was going to talk about, I got a couple 5-gallon pails on the back deck that, I keep some fish in, and I've given them a good look over, and I feel like they're healthy. So I feel like, hey, I think
at one time to start running a hose over to this retaining pit over here and fill that sucker up start stocking it.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Have your own pond right across the street.
Yeah, well, I should just see if I could even keep a goldfish tank running before I go trying to do something like that. But no. Matt, here's another one. We got a buddy who is a guide, and recently on a trip we were kind of talking to him, and he said he just could not believe that we wouldn't believe how many people that message him that say, hey, where are you fishing? Hey, how fast are you going? Hey, what are you using for bait? All those normal deals. And do you think that the average person probably doesn't realize how many times a guy like that gets hit up?
Nope, not the ones that are messaging them. If they did, the people that realize it are like, well, I'm not going to message him, because they probably get messaged a ton of times. Some people are just like, I think some people think, well, they're a guide, so like that's their business, so that they, but it's like you're not giving them business by asking them all these questions.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't surprise me that they get messages like that, but yet
I think the sheer amount would surprise a person, about like just the sheer amount of, like, during the day, how many times their phone goes off having like Facebook messages of what you talked about.
Do you think that it's people that do know what they're doing, but are just like, piss on it, I'm going to shoot my shot and see what happens? Mm-hmm. Or do you think more of them are people that just truly don't know any better?
I think it's
because there are those people that you see it a lot of times on people's Facebook posts. That somebody said somebody's got a picture of a nice bass, and somebody will say something about oh, that thing's going to taste good, and it's like, well, no, that's
right.
That's not obviously why he caught that fish or whatever. So I think people just every once in a while, especially if somebody's out on, Lake Poncet. Well, we've got a cabin on Lake Poncet. Let's ask so and so where they were, where they were going, or whatever. They'll tell us, and it's kind of like, no, actually, not so much. So I don't know. I
a little bit of the surprise too sometimes is like, to think that they're gonna like actually give up that info just like that, like willy nilly over the phone. Most of them, I don't know. I guess if I was guiding I'm not going to tell you. I mean, like, I don't know why people are going to be like, oh, they'll tell me exactly what they're doing, exactly where they're doing it. It's just like, no.
Will you tell them anything? I mean, would you tell them, yeah, we're getting them on slip bobbers and leeches?
What do you think is worse, the people that do that or the people that just follow them around and fish near them?
Oh, I would say the people that follow them around and fish near them.
Right.
I would say that is that's worse. I mean, at least if you're sending somebody a message, you're leaving it up to them. You know, you're throwing the ball into their court. You know, if they say, hey, I don't really want to tell you it, if they don't message you back at all, if they, you know, say, you know, if they give you a pretty vague answer, well, you know, then that's between you and them. But, I mean, the people that just flat out follow people around, you know, what are you going to do about it? Right. You know, it's kind of one of those deals, you know, you're on public water, you know, literally they could put their boat exactly right up next to you, you know, within 3 feet, and you ain't going to do nothing about it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever, I don't know, have I ever asked you, have you ever actually gotten into a real confrontation on the water?
You and I have talked about this before.
We have talked about it?
I've never really and I'm not like a confrontational person.
Have you ever seen a confrontation go on the water?
I've seen people arguing out there before, and like, it's like to the point, it's like, okay, you guys both need to watch what you're saying. There's kids around. It's like you're both acting like morons right now.
Did you ever think about egging it on?
Well, sometimes
if I ever see a good old-fashioned confrontation going on,
throw a little fuel on the fire every once in a while.
So our buddy Dan, who we talked about earlier, he was at one time out on a boat, and there was a guy that was in the same campground as Dan, and they were kind of like yelling back and forth at each other. So Dan stood up and yelled something at him. This campground was called Oars Campground, and he said something like, "We'll settle this at Oars." That other dude didn't realize that was a joke.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, they were both, you know, hot. Well, the one guy was hotter than a pistol, and he gets back to the dock, and he jumps out of his boat, and he's going to go take care of Dan out on the dock. And Dan's like, "Whoa, easy, man.
It's just a joke."
Yeah. Pipe down, man. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen a real confrontation. Not that I can come up with, but.
No, I read something on it might have been the Fishing Minnesota group the other day about some guys said that they were out I think they might have been on the Mississippi River fishing.
Pool 4?
Probably. And some guys were kind of making I think that they were kind of making some Asian remarks and racial remarks to them and stuff like that, which obviously is totally like, no, you don't
bullshit is what you're trying to say.
You don't do that stuff. And but then eventually I think that guy finally, you know, they were kind of mean mugging the guy, and then he finally had enough and kind of like, I don't know, add fuel to the fire, and, you know.
I think he went to a different spot, and then they turned around and told him that's where they were going to go.
I don't know. Dude
had his kid along.
Right. I don't know if they told him that they were going. I think they like went over there, and they just kind of like were mean mugging him a little bit and just kind of looking at him like that's kind of like. But then he finally was like, "What? You got an effing problem and stuff." And I mean, I don't know. Like, to be in his shoes, I might have reacted the same way, you know, if somebody if somebody was, you know, saying that type of stuff to me, and especially like you said, when your kid is along and stuff. I mean, there's no call for that anymore. I mean, it's the year 2021. It's like, come on, people.
Well, I think we all know once you've gotten to that point where you're pissed.
Right.
I mean, there's like, unless somebody is going to come in and take you out of that situation, you know, like, I'm personally not a guy. Like, once I've reached that point, I'm not going to be like, okay, Scott, you know, just drive your boat away and take 10 deep breaths and, you know, imagine, you know, baby puppies. No, that ain't going to work for me. I'm like, hey, you beep, 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 you know, whatever. And I'm probably going to tie on the biggest lead piece of or tackle that I've got, and I'm frickin' chucking it at their boat, or I'm going to tell them that, hey, let's go meet on the dock, or I'm going to, I don't know,
I guess in the back of my mind all the time is like, if somebody's like willing to start it like that, like they might have something a little bit screw loose somewhere, and I don't want to end up getting gutted or something like that somewhere.
I feel like there's times when I've got a couple screws loose, man. So let's see whose screws are more loose.
I used to, I used to be like the hothead of it. When my brother used to race, you know how the races go.
Yep.
Little dirt track, rowdiness out there in the pits, and I would be one of the guys that would, somebody would pipe off, and I would be right back there screaming at them and getting in their face and everything like that. But it's just like, now it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably not worth it.
It isn't in the long run, but then again, too, sometimes it gets to that point where you just got to let them know.
If the fishing's not good, you got to resort to the next best thing. And sometimes you just got to give a couple good chest pokes and set the tone.
Exactly right.
Set the tone like, hey.
Well, if somebody keeps calling you something so many times, you can only take it so much before you gotta let them know what's up.
If there's a racial crap involved, that's a whole different deal. A, B, I guess we do have to, we're sitting here telling a story that we read on the internet, assuming that it's the truth. And I would like to believe that if the guy took the time to write it on the internet, that it is the truth. But, maybe the other guy's got a whole different story, too.
Exactly.
And he says, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I did say some stuff that I probably shouldn't have, but, this is what he said. And, all of a sudden, that story changes. But I don't know. I guess it ain't my deal.
No.
It is not my deal.
But no, back to what we were talking about as far as the guides go. I'm sure they get flooded with stuff in their inbox, especially if all of a sudden they post a picture of them having a successful day out there with clients and people, like asking like what you said, like, oh, how'd you catch them? Like what, how fast were you going? What was the water depth? And
I think we should do a project. Like over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, when we start seeing a guy do really good, we're going to slide into his DMs.
Slide in there.
And we're going to send him a message, like, hey, where'd you catch him? And we're going to rank these guides by how honest they are with us. I mean, you're going to get the, hey, piss off. And so we'll give that guy, you know what he got? He got a 2. He could have been meaner, but he got a 2. And then we could get the guy that says, hey, I caught him at this GPS coordinates. I was using this, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to give him a 10. We're not really going to do this. But
we might get an FYSS.
Oh, well, I think we're going to message that dude anyways, just for the hell of it.
Right. I think that we need to message him every time he posts a picture.
What do you think about doing a show strictly on just cold calling people
up?
Yep.
And asking them, hey, how's the fishing
We're
out
going
there?
to keep your phone plugged in the whole entire time. And we're maybe just going to call bait shops, and we're going to call guides, and we're going to call, we're just going to totally just
kind of like a cranky
be
anchors,
idiots.
Midwest Angler style.
Cranky Curtis?
Cranky anchors.
Cranky anchors?
You've never heard of that before?
No.
On Comedy Central, where they call up people and they act like, they'll call up a pizza place and they'll just make a prank phone call to it.
Cranky anchors, huh?
Yeah.
Ha. No, I have not heard of cranky anchors. There was another.
Man, they got some pretty funny ones.
There was another one that a bunch of guys used to listen to back in the day.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
That was prank phone calls.
I remember listening to it, and I can't remember what it was called now.
There were some dudes. I got to tell this story just because there were some guys from our town that was like 2 years younger than me, and they prank phone called a lady one time, and they actually told her that they were the police. And that there was a mountain lion in her backyard. And she's like, well, my husband's out there. they kind of, let her know that, well, you go down the basement and save yourself, but do not go out there. This thing's mean. And I think they ended up getting into trouble, like real trouble, like cops.
You always do. I mean, we we used to. I mean, I grew up in the era of no cell phones, so
Right.
that was our fun. Whose parents are gone this afternoon? Let's go over to their house and we're going to prank phone call people. And you prank phone call people, and every once in a while you'd accidentally prank the wrong house.
Oh, yeah.
They know who it was, and then you get home and your parents will be sitting there like, "So, what did you do today?" And it's just like, "Oh crap."
Did you ever hear, like, there used to be one that was like 1-800-777-7777, and it was like Chinese people, and it was, and I mean, we just thought it was absolutely hilarious. It was somebody from, I think it was actually like to China or something, but we just thought that it was the best thing in the whole entire
Right.
world, so we would just do it over and over and over and over, and
Was the one that you were thinking about the Jerky Boys?
Jerky Boys, that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're almost as good as the Youpers.
Yeah. So no, that used to be our jam, man. After school, it was just like, well, ride our bikes over to somebody's house and do some prank phone calls. Maybe play a little Sims on their computer.
Did you have pegs on your bike?
No, I never had pegs.
You never had pegs?
No.
Did you have mag wheels?
I had the hubcap covered once.
What?
Oh yeah. You ever rock those?
No.
Oh man, we used to have the hubcap covered ones.
Did you ever put baseball cards in your spokes to make it sound like a motor?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And every time you saw a pop can on the road, you're running that sucker over so that for a while you.
Until it started smoking, smelling like tire. Oh man.
Back
All right.
when times were simple.
Yep. Golly, those were better times. Was everything just as screwed up back then, except we were just too young to realize it, or?
No, I don't think so. Just because there wasn't social media, dude. That's where it all happens. I mean,
That's where things went south, huh?
yeah, it is. It's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. And I just think that.
But
that's
mostly just a bad thing.
right.
All right. Well, hey, last time we were doing a T-shirt giveaway. We got a bunch of people. We have not drawn for it yet, but I don't know. Sometime this week we'll post a video for that. We got a bunch of people that entered. We appreciate that. But I also said that if Bill Lowen won the
Bass Elite Series.
Bassmaster Elite Series, that I would give away another shirt. And, well, my good news story of the week is the fact that Bill Lowen did go ahead.
Dollar Bill Lowen.
Turtle won it.
That was
He
so awesome.
edged out, who was it?
Brock Mosley.
Brock Mosley. Patrick Walters was in the mix. Corey Johnston was in the mix.
Yep.
Yep, a bunch of good guys were all up there. And I don't know, would have been cool to see Brock Mosley win also, but
Yeah, I mean, both of them have had a lot of top 10 finishes and have been close in their careers, but it was just Bill's time. I mean, in the Elite Series since what, 2000, was it 2004, 2006?
2006, I believe. And Bill was actually one of a handful of guys that did not take that BPT invite.
Right.
The other guys are Chris Aldane, Seth Feider, Drew Benton, Stetson Blaylock, and Steve Kennedy. But so anyone who knows how I feel about that knows that just extra cherry on top for me. And
Oh yeah, I think what was cool about watching the weigh-in was just like all the other fishermen's excitement for it.
Right.
You know, like if it would have went to Brock Mosley, if it would have went to Bill Lowen. I mean, to see Brock Mosley and Bill Lowen both get up there, both very emotional. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, at times could hardly talk because they were almost crying. It just proved how much it meant to them, and just to see the love from all the other anglers, I think is what is so cool. I don't think there was one person that was disappointed that Bill Lowen won.
No,
I think that everybody was just and it was genuinely like he's such a good dude. It's
Right.
like he deserved to get this win.
Yep. No, and you can always tell by after the conclusion of a tournament how many other guys start posting,
Yep.
Posts, congratulating him, with their picture and him, saying, this was a deserving one.
Right. Even guys in different leagues.
Oh, Kevin Van Dam,
right, the
I mean,
BPT
right.
guys, they were all sharing a bunch of stuff, talking
Yep.
about how great how great it was.
Yep. No,
So-
that's that. Matt, you got a good news story?
Mine is going to be, some of the local coaches here in town started up a podcast
Yeah.
just like this one. the Central Line George Little Rock football podcast, and they're talking about some of the history of Central Line George Little Rock. And good. I listened to it the other night. It was quite fun. It was pretty cool because they're interviewing some of the past players, and I've heard a lot of the stories from like Coach Postma and Coach Lorenzen and those guys, and just to hear like the players' version of it, it's pretty cool. So I mean, hats off to those guys, and looking forward to more episodes of theirs.
No, yeah, I actually listened to it also. I texted Curtis and said, hey, I really enjoyed that because, I don't know, I actually remember that season. They Central Iron played Harlan to go to the Dome, and I could actually take you right to where me and my parents sat in a vehicle and watched that thing, during the Ice Bowl or whatever.
Yeah.
And so,
well, even me not being from town here, but growing up close to here, I can remember what I was doing. We were out deer hunting that weekend.
Really?
And I can remember like listening to the final, like listening to it in my grandpa's basement that night. The week before when they played Webster City, or like a couple weeks before, whatever it was, and RJ had like 300 and some yards rushing. I can remember all of it, and I wasn't even like part of it, but I just knew like
that was a special
how good
dude.
it was.
Yeah, that was a special dude, special team. So
no, that would be mine.
Yeah. Well,
I suppose we got lake names.
Lake names? Son of a gun, I've got lake names.
Lake names.
All right.
There's 4 of them this week. There's 5, but they're both, one's a first and second, it's called.
Dry.
It's like that. There you go. You got them all.
Yep.
Okay, we don't have to do it.
Dry.
D-Rye.
Dree.
These are actually coming from Dan Philbrick from out in Wisconsin. He messaged me.
Oh, God, I'm screwed.
A
real local.
He originally is from Maine. So these are some lake names from Maine.
Oh,
because I've spent some time out in Maine before, and they got some crazy names out there. So I think you're going to be able to get these once you sound them off and everything. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's just crazy to think of some of them that they have. A lot of theirs, they don't call them lakes out there; they call them ponds. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah. But these are all lakes.
So first one.
Dan
Philbrick from Wisconsin. Oh, never mind. Okay. All right. First and second, we got Musquacook.
That is correct.
Muskacook.
It's Musquacook. Yep.
Dang it.
You gotta think the native names and stuff like that. So I don't know if they were angry when they named that one. If it was if it's like saying something negative about a lady or something like that with Musquacook. So Musquacook. That's what I don't know. It's like that's what they do in the kitchen. I don't know.
That's a name like Musquacook. Clean Musquacook.
We're going to Lake Musquaw Laundry.
We're getting in trouble for that.
We are. We really are. Okay.
We're going to bleep that one out. Sorry about that. Number 2.
Caucomgomoc.
Caucomgomoc.
It's Quacumgumac.
I was close.
You were. Yeah, I was actually pretty impressive that you got pretty close on that one.
All right. Second one. Umbazooksus. Umbazooksas. Umbazooksas.
Yeah. Umbazooksas.
I want to go and fish at Umbazooksas.
Could you imagine having to type this stuff into the GPS? It's like, or you're talking to somebody.
Umbazooksas.
I mean, we complain it's like dry lake, round lake, clear lake, trying to explain that. But if you're always out here, no wonder they give them nicknames all the time. Last one.
Number 4. CHEMQUASABAMTICOOK. Chimquasa Bamtacook.
Yep.
Chimquasa Bamtacook. That is a good one.
That is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 letters. Chimquasa Bamtacook. Where is Chimquasa Bamtacook?
Imagine being a guide on that lake. It's in the North Maine woods.
Well, I can tell you this much. You can't write Chimquasa Bamtacook down the side of your boat. Oh, here it is. Lake in Maine.
Imagine you having your T-shirts, your sweatshirts made up for that.
I mean, it goes all the way around the side of your body. You wear it on your belt. And for me, it'll just barely fit. For anyone smaller than me, it doesn't. All righty. Well, I don't know. That's all I got.
That's all I got today too.
We're still in that really crappy spot.
Ice just kind of officially came off the lakes the other day.
Yep. So hopefully we will get a couple more guests lined up here. Just kind of been one of those times where you kind of go all week waiting for something big to kind of happen, and it just never does. And hopefully things start kicking off a little bit. Going to be some more local tournaments starting in the area, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to not only some tournament anglers but some guides. And
Yep.
I don't know. With that, we will conclude 117. We'll see you next week on 118. Later.